Welcome to Nanning. We're going to be spending 4 full days exploring the capital city of the Guangxi province. Come along with us as we try some of their local cuisine, as well as see their top attractions.
So after a quick 1-hour flight, we landed in Nanning, and we got checked into our hotel, the Now Lotus.
The hotel is absolutely gorgeous, and we will give you a little room tour. I did get Marriott Platinum this year, so they did give us a little upgrade. It's fantastic, but we did speak to the concierge. She gave us a couple recommendations, one of which was this local restaurant behind us, but they were absolutely packed out. So now we are waiting on a Didi to take us to a night market. All right, so wow, this night market has things that are completely different from the night markets that we went to on the island of Hainan. The only thing I've seen that's similar is they both have the oysters with garlic in them. Here, the item I've seen the most is pickles, though. They have these big carts full of like different fruits and vegetables that are pickled and have like spicy powders on them. Kind of reminds me a little bit of like the way that they eat mango in Mexico. But now we are standing in line because by far the biggest line that we saw is for these, like, I guess you could kind of describe them as maybe a burger, but they're a bun that's been opened up and stuffed with meat. We did have one when we were at the night market in Sanya, and this one looks much more impressive. So we're gonna get one of those. There also are a lot more dumplings here, and then a lot of rice noodles. So we'll try as much as we can. All right, we have had success. Took a little doing, but we ordered the pork with the lean and fatty meat, and it was just 10 yuan.
I really understand why that line was so long for that burger thing. That was absolutely amazing.
It was a little bit spicy. It was definitely very savory. It was salty. It had some different crunchy vegetable bits on it, some garlic. Super delicious. It was a bit greasy, but like in a really good way. We've noticed that there's a few stalls that have pretty good lines, so we waited in yet another one. This guy had this like pastry dough, and he was filling it with meat and it looked like scallions, and then they rolled it up, and then it looked like they were frying it in beef fat. Looks absolutely delicious. I don't know if you can see here, but it is nice and brown and crispy. Really crispy, really flaky, and a very strong scallion meat flavor. Really delicious. So we are on to our third item from the market, and it is these little meat-filled buns. And this, it almost looks like pita bread. He was like crisping them up on the flat top. So let's see. Really good. You get like a strong ginger and garlic and pork taste. Really tasty, and it was only 5 yuan for 2. All right, so the next dish we're trying is basically the local version of chengfen. It's got like a homemade rice wrapper, and then we got one with egg, and we got one with meat. He told me to put this sauce on it, and then there's some like pickled green beans. So let me go ahead and give this a taste. So the rice wrapper is really soft, and then there's some, I think, pickled vegetables on the inside of this that give it like a little bit of brightness, and the meat on the inside is super savory, salty. I can taste a little bit of MSG. It's really good. It's a lot more savory than I would have thought.
So today we've come to Qingxiu Mountain Scenic Area because today is the most beautiful day of our trip.
Yeah, unfortunately, it is very rainy here. They call Nanning the Green City, and of course you can't have a green city without a lot of rain. Yesterday it was raining a lot harder than this, and so we actually spent the day at the mall. I know, shocker. But the mall here was really, really great. I ended up getting these earrings. They're sterling silver and they're absolutely beautiful. It came in this little box set. It was great. And then we went to a super delicious restaurant called Grandma's House, where we got a bunch of traditional Chinese food. That was fantastic and a really good price. And then we also went to a little tea house, which was a recommendation by the concierge at our hotel, which also was Grandma's homemade tea. It was super delicious. David got like this orange osmanthus tea, and then I got this coconut tea, and both were fantastic. A little pricey for tea here in China, I will say. But let's go see if we can get some tickets and get in there.
So we got our tickets. Most people were scanning a QR code to get their tickets. We couldn't because we had to use our passports.
Yeah, so there was a ticket counter that a guy kind of pointed at, so we went over there. She looked at our passports for just a couple of seconds, and it was just 20 yuan each to get in. The park is absolutely huge. I've heard there are like little tram buses that can take you to certain parts of it, so we'll see how much we can figure out today.
When you first enter the park, there are statues depicting the traditional clothing of the local ethnic minority groups. One thing we love about the parks in China is that there's always live performances to enjoy. Just finished walking down the 650-meter Friendship Corridor, and now we're in Totem Plaza.
It's very cool. They have a totem representing each of the Southeast Asian nations. That's what the Friendship Corridor is, about China's relationship with them. And then when you come to the end, right now they have this fantastically beautiful display for New Year's. This park is really, really breathtaking. The other cool thing is that there are a bunch of people doing little performances throughout the park, some of which are better than others, but it definitely adds to the ambiance of it. I just wish it was a bit sunnier, because I think if everything were bright and well lit, it would be even more impressive.
The next section we came to had statues representing each of the animals of the Chinese zodiac. Langxi Tower, or the Dragon Elephant Tower, was built in the late 1500s. During the War of Resistance against Japanese aggression, aka World War II, it was dismantled so it could not be used as a reference point for enemy bombers, and it was rebuilt in 1985. So we climbed up that hill to get to the pagoda, and now we've just climbed up the 9 floors of the pagoda.
Yeah, so we're at the very top, and we can tell that the views would be absolutely amazing if it were a clear day. Unfortunately, it's not. The views weren't quite worth the effort, but it is still very cool. So after walking around the scenic area for over 3 hours and doing over 6 kilometers of walking, we decided we deserved some tea. So I got this, which looks quite yummy. And then David got this one here. I think both of them are a jasmine tea, but mine is like a milk version with whipped cream. And then David's is supposed to have some moon flavor, whatever that means.
So we ended up spending over 5 hours walking around that massive park.
It was so beautiful, though. I kind of hated that the weather didn't cooperate because you could tell that the views from the park were spectacular as well. I mean, obviously the plants and the decorations that they had were fantastically beautiful, but the view would have really added to it. And we just saw some kind of shapes of buildings, shadows of buildings behind mist. So overall, though, really, really fantastic. Highly recommend going to that park. We talked to the concierge at our hotel, and she recommended a roasted goose restaurant here in town. So we're going to go get a Didi and head over because I think it's time to eat something. Last night's dinner was fantastic. The goose was amazing. The skin was super, super crispy and everything was well seasoned, but that meal sat super heavy. So this morning we skipped breakfast at the hotel and we've decided to get an early start.
As you might be able to tell, it's another overcast day. So we decided we would check out a museum or two, and our first stop is the Guangxi Museum of Nationalities. The first section of the museum focused on the tradition of drum making. The second section displayed beautiful porcelain figurines. The next section we found the most interesting, as it focused on a set of bells made in 433 BC that could be played similarly to an organ, with each bell having a different note. The reason that this is called the Nationalities Museum is because the largest permanent exhibition displays the crafts, clothing, and traditions of the ethnic minorities found in the province. The museum was free except for the exhibition with the ancient bells, which is 70 RMB.
Yeah, and that was for both of us.
Yeah.
It was definitely a very cool museum. It had a whole bunch of different exhibition halls. They were all very different from each other, and most of them had a fair amount of English placards to read. We did end up using Translate a few times to translate some things that were of particular interest to us, but we even had a lady come over to us when we were in the bells section and explain a couple of the things that we were looking at in English. Everybody's been super helpful, super nice. Definitely recommend coming to this museum. Locals seem to call this the Anthropology Museum, but if you look on Apple Maps or on trip.com, it's the Guangxi Nationalities Museum. But definitely recommend. Now we're getting a bit hungry, so I think we're going to grab some lunch, brunch. As I mentioned before, they're known here for their rice noodles, and so this is a rolled version that we're going to go try.
So on the way out of the museum, I saw a sign for an outdoor exhibition garden, so we decided to check it out.
Yeah, it is definitely worth doing. They have like some reproductions of some very cool buildings that you can actually like walk through. But now I'm definitely getting very hungry. So now we are going to go eat. So I think Google Translate did a pretty good job on the menu here. It's pretty simple. These are the rice rolls. I got one with the old friend meat stuffing, and then I got another one with cabbage and pork. David got two different versions with egg, so his were a little bit more, but they're very economical. We also got a couple of waters and some teas, and we were able to put our own toppings on. Okay, I highly recommend if you're in Nanning to come to this place and get these rice rolls. I got one of these rice rolls, or two different kinds, when we were at the night market, and this one is so much better. It is so flavorful. The inside's like very savory and salty. I think the pork one is a little bit better than the old friend stuffing one, but super good. David said both of his are really delicious as well. He ended up getting the beef as well as the meat, bean, and egg. All so delicious. And like I said before, the price is fantastic. Also, the ladies really got a kick out of us being here and using our Translate. They were all giggles and smiles, so it's been a nice experience as well.
So now we're taking a 40-minute DD across town to Xiangsi Town.
Yeah, the weather has cleared up a little bit. The clouds are a lot higher. The air feels a lot drier. So I figured it's not going to rain or drizzle. We might as well make it out here. I could only find a couple pictures of this place online, but it looked really cool. From what we can see from the street, it does seem like it's going to be cool. So let's head on in and check it out.
So the main business in this town is to rent traditional clothing to women so they can do photo shoots around town.
Yeah, and it is very beautiful. There's a lot of very scenic, picturesque spots to do these photos. And I have to say, I do get a kick out of seeing all the women wearing the traditional outfits. It is quite cool. They also have a couple of tea shops and restaurants, so we might stop by one and get a drink. There is a chagi, and I did enjoy the chagi we had the other day at the mall. But overall, this is definitely a cute place to come and walk around. I bet it is prettier lit up at night, though. I don't think we're going to stay here that long because it is on the smaller side. But you may want to time your visit to come when it will be lit up.
Something that seems to happen only in China to us is people will randomly come up and ask us to take photos with them. It happened to me yesterday at the mountain park and today for Georgia.
Yeah. And they come up all giggly and then they kind of like show their phone and they want to take a photo. It's generally women. It happened to us last time we were in China back in 2018, but it happened a lot more then. Yeah. I will say I feel like it's less frequent now. And last time, even older men wanted to take photos with David with him like shaking their hand like they were making a business deal. It was very funny. I kind of enjoy it, but I have heard other people don't really like the attention. I think it's cute.
So we decided to stay till sunset, so we stopped for a tea at Chagi.
And while we were having those delicious Chagi teas, this girl came up and used Translate to ask us if she could interview us. She's a graduate student, and she asked us like why we were in Guangxi, what we thought of the province. We told her about the museum we went to today, and she was asking like, what we thought of all the clothing and the traditional stuff here. So that was kind of cool, but that took quite a while. So we were close enough to sunset. We figured, hey, we might as well hang out and see things lit up. So right now we're waiting to see if this very cool bridge behind us gets lit up.
We just got out of another 40-minute DD ride over to Nanning Nights.
Yeah, I love how affordable DDs are. You can just take them all over the place, and you don't even have to feel bad because most of the vehicles are electric, so you're not even polluting. This place I saw online, it goes by a different name here in China, but like David said, on Apple Maps or DD, it is Nanning Nights, and it looks absolutely amazing. Everything is lit up. It looks like there might be an entry fee. There was not at the last place, but here they have an entrance system, so let's go see if we can get in.
There was no entry fee for Nanning Nights, and there were numerous performances throughout the park. We were very surprised by how few people were there given how cool we thought it was. In addition to having a bunch of food stalls, they had many activities you could pay extra for, including bumper cars, a VR experience, and even archery. So we got a couple things to eat here in the market. The first thing was an assortment of dumplings.
Yeah, and they were okay. And then we got another version of that little meat bun Chinese hamburger thing, and it was also okay. And then I got the sugar dipped strawberries, but it was made with frozen strawberries instead of fresh strawberries. So again, it was okay. Everything that we had at this night market was nowhere near as tasty as the things that we had at the first night market. But of course, that one was nowhere near as beautiful or comfortable as this one. So I would suggest coming to this one, getting your photos, watching some of the performances, but then maybe going to a different night market or restaurant to actually eat dinner, because everything here was kind of meh. Unfortunately, our last day in Nanning started out very drizzly and cold, so we just had breakfast at our hotel, and then I got some future travel plans booked, and David got a video edited, but as you can see now, the rain has stopped.
So now we've come to 3 Streets, 2 Alleys Night Market.
Yeah, it looks very cool, so we're gonna go and check it out.
So we wandered around the 3 Streets, 2 Alleys market, which ended up being a group of shopping streets, I guess.
Yeah, they did have a little like market area set up, but it was mostly like jewelry and kind of goods, not so much food. So we kept walking and we came upon Aqua Market, which looks like it would be very cool if it was mostly open, but right now it's mostly closed. We do see some people setting up, so I think we might just be here a little bit too early. I think it's like 6:30 right now though, or it could be that it is a Wednesday and maybe it's just a weekend thing. So we keep walking through this. If we can't find anything here, I think we'll find a restaurant nearby because we haven't eaten since breakfast.
So we just finished up eating in the restaurant behind us, and the barbecue only cost us 158 RMB.
Yeah, for both of us, for all you can eat. You were able to order through the app. There was mutton or sheep. They had a bunch of beef and pork options. They even had like oysters and shrimp. We didn't get either of those. There's a whole bunch of veggies that you could get. We got mushrooms and potatoes. And then there was this whole cooler of drinks that was included, including beer. And there was a bunch of fruit and ice cream for dessert and mochis. I mean, I can't believe the value. It was so delicious too. Highly, highly recommend this place. It's fantastic last meal here in Nanning. Overall, we were super impressed by Nanning. I have to say, I think it's one of our favorite big cities that we've ever been to. We a lot of times aren't kind of big city people because they can be crowded and dirty and loud. But because of the electric scooters, it's a lot quieter, and there's always people picking up trash. I will say that people here do litter, but there are always like city workers coming behind them picking up the trash. So it's incredibly clean. It's been a very pleasant stay. There seems to be tons to do here. We didn't make it to the National Museum. There were a couple parks that we didn't go to, and there were countless malls we did not make it to. So definitely a lot to do. It was really fun. I'll go ahead and give you a tour of our hotel room, which was fantastic. And our next stop is Guilin. Before heading to our room, we stopped at the hotel bar, which is on the 80th floor, to appreciate some spectacular views. So let me show you our room. When you come in through the door, to the right is our giant walk-in closet. And then through here is our giant bathroom. You can see we have double sinks here. And then I have this huge vanity area to do my makeup. This absolutely gigantic bathtub. And then, of course, here we have a beautiful shower, has a full rainfall, as well as handheld. And then of course here we have the fancy Japanese bidet style toilet. And then back out this way is the super comfortable king size bed. And then we have a nice big TV. There's a lot of storage in here as well. And then of course you can see here David is all set up to do his editing at the table. And then we have a nice big comfortable chair there. And best of all, we are on the 73rd floor. So you can see here we have a fantastic view. And now for that cost breakdown. We spent just $577 for 5 nights in that amazing hotel room. We spent $68 on transportation, $15 on entertainment, just $64 on bars and on alcohol, $148 at restaurants, $2 on groceries. That was just a couple bottles of water. And finally, $123 on personal care. I bought some earrings, David got a haircut, we had to do some laundry, and we bought a few toiletry items. That grand total, $997 or just $199 per day. Not included in that total was our flight to Nanning from Haikou, which was $223 for the both of us. Thanks for watching, and as always, if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, please leave them down below. If you haven't already, check out our last week's video where we explore the city of Haikou.